Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be drafting out this corset blouse with a stylish keyhole yoke neckline. If you're interested, keep on watching and let's get started. I already have my pattern paper. I'll go ahead and start taking my points. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my under bust point, which is 13 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. From the waist point, I'll go down by about 4 inches, which I'll be using for my Basque waistline. I'll mark the 4 inches and I'll go ahead and draw straight lines across all these points. So guys, I'll go ahead and label my lines. I have my bust line, my under bust line, my waistline, and the blouse length. The next thing I'll do is to take half of my shoulder measurement on the shoulder line. Half of my shoulder measurement is 8 inches. I indicated the 8 inches with a dot. On that dot, I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'm going to slant from that point into the neckline area like this. After doing that, guys, I'm going to go down from the shoulder slope by half of my round armhole circumference. So my round armhole circumference is 16 inches, half of it is 8 inches. So I went down by 8 inches. I indicated the 8 inches with a dot. I'll go ahead and rule a straight line across that 8 inches dot. So this new line is going to be my chest line. So I'll go ahead and label it my chest line. The next thing I'll do is to take my neckline measurements. For the neck width, I'll be using 3 inches, and for the depth, I'll be using 3 inches. After doing that, I'll use my ruler to connect like this. After connecting my neckline, the next thing I'm going to do is to place my tape on the shoulder line. What I have there is 8 inches. I'll place the same 8 inches on the chest line, and I'll indicate the 8 inches with a dot. The next thing I'll do is to connect from the shoulder slope to meet the dots that I just placed on the chest line like this. After doing that, guys, I'm going to find the middle point of this straight line. So I'm going to place my tape on that shoulder slope. What I have there is 8 inches. Half of 8 inches is 4 inches. I'll indicate the 4 inches with a dot. On that dot, I'm going to come in one like this by half an inch. I'll also indicate the half an inch with a dot. On my chest line, I'll place my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll indicate that with a dot also. The next thing I'll do is to use my ruler to connect from the shoulder slope to meet the half an inch, and from that point to meet the dot that I have on the chest line like this. After doing that, I'm going to just use my marker to outline all these marks. The next thing I'll do is to take my bust band measurement, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 4 inches, so I'll take the 4 inches on the blouse length, on the waistline, on the under bust line, and on the bust line. After doing that, I'll connect all the dots into a straight line. So guys, the next thing I'll do is to take my dart. So I'll be taking 1 inch on both sides of this straight line. If you are busty, you can use 1.5 inches, but if your bust is not more than 40, I think this 1 inch should be enough. So I'm taking 1 inch on the waistline, on the under bust line, on the bust line, okay, and on the blouse length, as you can see me doing. After doing that, I'll connect all the dots into a straight line. I've gone ahead to do that, guys, and this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to go down on my bust line by 1 inch. I'll indicate the 1 inch with a dot. After doing that, I'll use the curved part of my ruler to connect from that 1 inch to meet my under bust line. So it is important that you label your pattern, okay? So I've done that, guys, and this is what I have. So this line should not be a straight line and it should not be too curvy. The next thing I'll do is to divide what I have left on this shoulder. What I have there is 5 inches. I'll fold my tape into 2 to get the middle point. Half of it is 2.5 inches. I'll indicate the 2.5 inches with a dot, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect from that dot to meet my dart leg like this. After doing that, guys, next thing you're going to do is to determine how open you want the chest area of your corset to be. If you want it more covered, you can go up by 2 inches or 2.5 inches. But if you don't want it to be covered, you can do 1 inch or 1.5 inches. For me, I'm going upward from my chest line by 2 inches. I think 2 inches should be enough. Okay, so after doing that, I indicated the 2 inches with a dot, and I went ahead to rule a straight line across that dot. So this is now going to be my new chest line. So the next thing I'll do is to go up from my bust line by 1 inch. As you can see, the distance from my chest line to my bust line is already 1 inch. So what I'll do is to come in like this by half an inch from my chest line. That is the first chest line, and I'll connect to meet the bust line in a straight line. I'll also go ahead and highlight the half an inch that I came in with. After doing that, I'm going to tighten my over bust. So I'll be taking 0.75 inches on both sides of this straight line. As you can see me doing, I'll indicate the 0.5 inches mark. After doing that, I'll use my ruler to connect from there to meet the bust line like this. So guys, next thing I'll do is to blend like this. Okay, make sure there is no sharp edge. After blending, this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to connect from under bust line to meet the bust line. Okay, so I'm going to place my ruler in such a way that there will be room for my bust to sit. As you can see, I'm using the deep part of this ruler. So this is one side of the cup. What I'll do is to connect from the dart leg on my new chest line to meet the previous chest line, as you can see. Okay, after doing that, guys, this is what I have. The next thing we're going to do is to work on the second cup. To do that, I already have my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. I'll place my tape on this small part here, and what I have there is 1 inch. I'm going to divide that 1 inch into 2, and I'll indicate the 1 inch, the half an inch, sorry, with a dot. After doing that, I'll place my ruler and I'll connect from the under bust to meet the dots on the center of that armhole, as you can see. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to now connect from this dart leg to also meet the points like this. So we have our second cup. So in case you want to make your corset a tube corset, like without sleeves, that's why I'm going down by half an inch from the chest line, as you can see, and I'll connect the half an inch like this. Okay, so if you don't want yours to have a yoke, you can just connect from that point to meet this line that I just created right now. But if you want it to have armhole, go ahead and connect the cup to meet the armhole, just like you see me doing. Next thing I'll do now is to start placing my measurements. I already have my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. I'll replace this dart of 1.5 inches, and I'll add my stitching allowance. On the under bust line, I'll place my under bust circumference divided by 4. I'll also replace the dart of 2 inches, and I'll add my stitching allowance. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dart and I'll add my stitching allowance. On this basque area, you can place your hip measurements and then adjust it when you're sewing. So that is what I'm going to do. I'll place my hip circumference divided by 4. Okay, I'll replace the dart and I'll add my stitching allowance. Okay, after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and connect the dots together. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and blend my armhole, as you can see me doing. So you see that I'm connecting it like this, but if you don't want it to have armhole, connect the other one to meet the one underneath this armhole. You connect from the upper part of this cup to meet this line that I created underneath the armhole. I hope you guys understand. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and label my pattern. Okay, I have cup 1, cup 2, the center front and the side front. I'm going to go ahead and cut. So on the side, you can see that I blended the sharp edge on the waistline. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut. Pay close attention so you know where to cut. So guys, before cutting out the yoke, go ahead and join the both darts together, okay? And you're going to cut out the yoke first before you split your darts. So just look at the way I'm doing it, because we need this yoke, we don't have to split it. So I'll cut it out first before I split the dart on the chest line. After cutting, guys, this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and create the basque. To do that, I'm going to put my fabric together, and I'll go down by 3 inches, which is how long I want the bags to be. But I feel like 3 inches is too short, so you can do 4 inches or 5 inches. On my waistline, I came in by my sewing allowance. Okay, so I'm going to connect. You can see that the back is not a V basque, it's like a U basque. So that is what I used my ruler to do. Okay, so after doing that, I'll go ahead and just connect. Make sure that your pattern is sitting together. You can go ahead and join them together to cut out one piece when you are cutting on your fabric. Okay, so it's time to create the keyhole neckline. So you're going to determine how deep you want it to be. For now, I'll go down by 3.5 inches from my shoulder line. I'll indicate the 3.5 inches with a dot. I'll use my ruler to connect from that point like this. Okay, and on this other end, I'm going to come in from my armhole by 2 inches, depending on how wide you want the keyhole to be. Okay, I'm going to connect back to meet the 3.5 inches like this. After doing that, I realized that the keyhole was too short, so I decided to just take 3 inches. So I'm just going to blend it back. Okay, I'll blend it back into this previous one like this. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut. So guys, after cutting, this is what I have. Okay, so like I said, you can join the center front and the side front so that you just cut one piece when cutting. Okay, so these are the front patterns. The neckline for the front is not a circle neckline, and I feel like this my keyhole is too wide. Okay, so I decided to just go in a little bit, but I think I did too much because what I cut out was just too big. You can see that I don't have that V shape anymore, so be careful when you are cutting yours. For the neckline, you can see on the thumbnail that is not a round neckline, so it's a V neckline. So I'm just going to connect. As you can see, I'm not taking anything from the shoulder. I'm just going to connect it like this. So when doing that, make sure you don't have any sharp edge. Go ahead and straighten it out. After cutting, this is what I have. So guys, for the back, I already have my pattern paper. If you want to add a zipper to your blouse, go ahead and add your 1 inch or 1.5 inches zipper allowance, but I'm not adding zipper to this pattern. So the first thing I'll do is to take my point. I already have the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches, and the distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. The back does not have a basque, so it's going to stop at the waistline, which is 16 inches. Okay, so on the start of my pattern paper, which is my shoulder line, I'll take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. I'll indicate with a dot. On that dot, I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll slant from that point into the neckline area. After doing that, guys, I'm going to go down by half of my round armhole circumference, which is 8 inches. I'll indicate the 8 inches with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to roll a straight line across that point. So this line is going to be my chest line. The next thing I'll do is to place my tape on the shoulder line, and I'll place the same measurement that I have there on the chest. Now what I have is 8 inches. So on the chest line, I'll place the 8 inches and I'll indicate the 8 inches with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to connect the dot on the shoulder slope to make the dot on the chest line. and I'll place my tape on this straight line to find the middle point. What I have there is 8 inches. Half of 8 inches is 4 inches. I indicated the 4 inches with a dot. On my chest line, I placed my bust circumference divided by 4. So I'm going to connect from this midpoint to meet the dot that I have on the chest line like this. After doing that, guys, the next thing I'll do is to take my neckline measurement. For the width, I'll be using 3 inches, and for the depth, I'll be using 1.5 inches because this is the back neckline. It's not supposed to be as deep as the front, but the width for both the front and the back is supposed to be the same. Okay, so I'll connect like this. After doing that, I'll go ahead and take in my dart. To do that, I'll take half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'll take the 4 inches on the waistline and on the bust line. I'll indicate with a dot and I'll connect the 2 dots into a straight line. After doing that, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides of this straight line and I'll connect from that point to meet the bust line like this. So guys, after taking in my dart, I'll go ahead and start placing my measurements. On the bust line, I already have my bust circumference divided by 4. I went ahead to add my stitching allowance. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll replace the dart and I'll add my stitching allowance. After doing that, I'll connect from the bust to meet the waist. Okay, I'll go ahead and highlight the waistline, which is where I'm going to cut, and I'll also extend my armhole to meet the stitching allowance like this. After doing that, you can go ahead and cut out your pattern. I want to cut out a yoke for this back and I want the back to be open. So what I'll do is to go down by 1 inch from my neck depth. I'll indicate with the 1 inch with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to connect from this dart leg. Depending on how open you want the back to be, you can just measure 2 inches and connect, but I'm connecting all the way from this dart leg, which is 4 inches. Okay, meaning the back is going to be really open. I didn't add zipper allowance because I want to add loop to the back, so I'm going to reduce this back by 1.5 inches. So if you want a zipper, go ahead and add your zipper allowance, but I'm reducing my back pattern by 1.5 inches because I want to add loops to it. So I'm going to connect it like this. So I'll be cutting this part out. After doing that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut. Okay, so pay close attention to know where to cut. So guys, I'm done cutting and this is what I have. I went ahead to cut out my yoke and I'm going to close my dart, okay, just so I don't have to take in my darts when I'm sewing for the back. So I'm going to go ahead and use my tape to hold the dart down. And yeah guys, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.